Hello everyone, this is Defense Politics Asia, and the world most powerful passport ranking is out again by NewsWorld, and again, Singapore passport has emerged to be the most powerful passport in the world with visa-free or visa-on-arrival access to 193 countries out of 227 countries. In fact, I am not even sure there is actually 200 over countries in this world. Yeah, so maybe 200 over custom regions. So anyway, this is compiled by Henley and Partners. The index assessed 199 passports based on the IATA International Air Transport Association's data. So Singapore is followed by South Korea and Japan, which both rank second with 190 countries. So Singapore got 3 more countries of no visa-free or visa-on-arrival service. And on third, there is Spain, Germany, Italy, France, Ireland, Finland, and Denmark, which is actually not bad, 187 countries. So the bottom 3 in the ranking is interesting. Is Iraq with in the 97th spot with 30 countries, 30 access. Syria on the 98th spot with only 27 countries they can go. And the worst is Afghanistan. Afghanistan can only access 25 countries. So UAE is the only Arab country in the top 10 with visa-free access to 185, which is actually very high, because if you look at the second, the Europeans is 187. So it's actually very, very powerful, UAE's passport. And along with Croatia, along with Latvia, Slovakia, Slovenia, and United States can access 183 destination. They are on the 9th spot, but it's still super high. 183. I think you don't really need that much countries. Most of the places I'm quite sure you don't go. So yeah, this is a very interesting news in terms of the passports. And it's also very interesting, Singapore, Japan, and South Korea have the highest. Singapore is always known to be the most powerful passport in the world. This one has been the situation for a long time. So, and again, Singapore in the news. Singapore is now ranked as the least corrupted country in Asia Pacific, 3rd in the world. So the first, the rank number 1, this is actually by the 2024 Transparency International Corruption Perception Index, the CPI report. So this is the first time Singapore beat out New Zealand, which held a position for Asia Pacific for 14 years. And it's also the third least Singapore is the 3rd least corrupted country in the world. So 180 countries is ranked globally and given a score of 0 for highly corrupted and 100 for super clean. So 13 expert and assessment and business surveys was done, and Singapore scored 84 points, up by 1 point. So you can see that Singapore is also not 100% absolutely clean. No countries in the world is entirely uncorrupted. There is also corruption cases in Singapore. There is and then there is also arrest for corrupted officials. One of them is pretty serious in recent years, which is the arrest of the transport minister. So for some F1 related corruption case, which is actually very minor. The corruption is super minor, but in the grand scale of things. But just by taking some favors, that's enough to get him removed from his position. So Singapore was previously ranked 5th. Denmark is and Finland took 1st and 2nd. So Denmark is the least corrupted country in the world with 90 points, and Finland is next. So congratulations to the Danish and the Finnish. And so Singapore is only Asian country in the top 10 since it was first published in 1995. So, and the Singapore's Corrupt Practices Investigation Bureau, CPIB, this is actually one of the very scary agency in Singapore, because they are no joke. And they say that Singapore's reputation is one of the least corrupt is hard-earned, because like I said, Singapore does a lot to try to stamp out corruption. And yeah, so Singapore was ranked 1st in the Political Economic Risk Consultancy 2024 report on corruption in Asia, US, and Australia. So which is a position CPIB say that Singapore has been holding on since 1995. So yeah, so Singapore is very anti-corruption. So that's one. That's one of the main reason for success of Singapore. Like if any country, the more corrupted you are, the more messed up your country is going to be. And you can see that United States has not been doing very well because corruption is so high, as we all see with the Doge operations to find all the discrepancies in the U.S. government. You can see why United States is in such decline. So, in Indonesia, there is this news rolled out by the health minister, and basically this is one of this program by the new president of Indonesia. So they have rolled out a $183 initiative. It doesn't sound like a lot, but because the cost of living in Indonesia is very, very low. So this is a free health screening program for everyone in Indonesia. So it costs 3 trillion rupiah, which is 183.2 million, part of Prabowo Subianto's key election promise to detect diseases earlier and avoid preventable death. So he pledged to improve the life of the citizens across the archipelago, which is pretty big. Indonesia is super big. Like in case you do not know, is over 5,300 kilometers. No, over because the Earth is curved. This is a straight line. So, yeah. So this is regarded as a birthday present from Indonesia government to every citizen. They will receive a voucher for a free medical checkup to be claimed during or up to 1 month before their birthday. So the free test will test for blood pressure, risk of heart problems, stroke, and eye test. So it's a basic test, but most Indonesians are super poor, and they probably don't put too much effort into taking care of their health. So this is also why the government is doing their best to try to do all these things, which is, I think, a good initiative. Of course, these expense. They don't earn money from this. So, but yeah, I think is what government's meant to do, right? They take care of the people. So Prabowo, the president of Indonesia, have instructed all institutions and ministries to make sure that the program is a success. So the aim is 100 million checks, health checkup for 2025. 100 million. So in case you don't know, yeah, Indonesia population is huge. So in Vietnam, they have held a defense policy dialogue with Japan, and basically this took place in Japan, Fukuoka. In case you do not know, this headlines is all Southeast Asia. So basically, so this defense policy dialogue has been ongoing, I think, yearly for 11 years already. So this is the 11th year. And so the Japanese, this article was a press release. It's in the Vietnamese news website, and it's very long. It talks a lot of things. So I just take out some of this information. So they praise Vietnam's roles in promoting regional and global peace and cooperation, and so this. They also congratulate Vietnam on all the great things that they have done in terms of reunification and economic development, and so they welcome strong progress in bilateral defense cooperation, and so the Vietnamese suggested Japan to increase training opportunities and scholarship for Vietnamese officers, and they also sought Japan's continued support for Vietnam's contribution to UN peacekeeping and addressing aftermath of this war. Probably Vietnam War. Vietnam will continue to support Japan's deeper engagement in the multilateral forums for regional peace and stability cooperation, especially with the ASEAN-led frameworks. ASEAN, for those that do not know, is the Association for Southeast Asian Nations. So it is the main multinational group that helps to keep Southeast Asia together. So this is this is another example of cooperations around the region, and clearly, what is Vietnam and Japan defending against? Whales. Lastly, there is some great disturbance in the force in Malaysia. So Sarawak and Petronas, or the federal government, continue to have this clash, mainly with the division about the distribution of oil and gas in its territory. So Sarawak is this big piece of land here, this big chunk here, and this almost basically as big as the rest of West Malaysia. However, West Malaysia is the power center, and this Sarawak on its own is just one state. This is Sabah, this is another state, and and basically this is some long history politics within Malaysia, which continues to be a problem in Malaysia, but generally West Malaysia dominates the politics, and they basically use the resources at Sarawak and Sabah to make Malaysia wealthy. And so Sarawak of course keep trying to get more and more power back, but they're not very successful so far. So the government insisted that Petronas, which is the National Oil Corporation, will be the continued sole guardian of the Malaysia's oil and gas reserve. Then that includes all of Borneo states in Sarawak and Sabah. Everything is still under Petronas control. So Sarawak state say that they accept the Petroleum Development Act, which stipulates that Petronas have exclusive control over exploration distribution of the oil and gas in Malaysia, but they insist that Sarawak should have a say in all these things. So they formed their own petroleum company called Petros, and which is Petroleum Sarawak Berhad, and then the Berhad is actually limited or private limited, and basically try to use Petros as the company to continue to negotiate and work with Petronas, which it doesn't really work because federal government wants to have full dominance, monopoly over oil and gas. So Sarawak state government appointed Petros as a sole gas aggregator under their own law, the state law. And this says that Petros can procure natural gas for distribution, supply, development, and maintenance of the gas distribution network, which is challenged by Petronas. So this continues to be a clash. So far, I think Sarawak is losing the argument because, usually central governments have more power. So this so far will not lead to a break off of Sarawak state from Malaysia because they're just not powerful enough to do it. And the Sarawak holds 60% of the Malaysia's oil gas reserve and contribute 90% of Malaysia's LNG export. So this continues to be a thing, but this is just to add a bit more in case you do not know the context, and in case you're still watching. I'm not sure how many people do watch until the end of the video. Malaysia start off with so let's keep this on. Malaysia start off with only Malaya, and then Federation of Malaya. So it's the Malaya Peninsula with all the different states, all the different kingdoms, coming together. The sultanates coming together as one federation. Then they tried to form a wider federation between Malaya, the whole of Malaya, Singapore, Sarawak, Sabah, and Brunei. And it was all going more or less there. They are going together. And if I didn't remember wrongly, Sarawak and Sabah will only join Malaysia if Singapore is in it. Then, so, or maybe if wrong, is the British say that no, if you want Sarawak and Sabah, you must accept Singapore, because Singapore is just an island. No, it's a very tiny place. It's just like this. It's just an island, and it needs to be protected and taken care of. At least during those days, that's the logic, right? So because it's a small place, it's still a very small place now. So the British say that if you want Sarawak and Sabah, which is where all the resources, all the natural resources, all the wealth is, then you need to take Singapore. So they accepted Singapore. Brunei was originally meant to join, then they decided against it, and they don't join at the end. And it's good for them because Brunei is one of the richest country in the world because they have tremendous oil and gas reserves. But what happened is that within a few years, Singapore got kicked out of Malaysia, and Sarawak Sabah was left within the federation. So you have to understand this federation of Malaysia is actually between 4 states. Malaya as one, this whole chunk as one, Singapore, Sarawak, and Sabah, 4 premier states. Singapore is gone, and then insidiously Malaysia have reformed and actually downgraded or upgraded all the different states within the Malaya to the level of Sarawak and Sabah, or Sarawak Sabah downgraded to the level of everyone else within Malaya, which is a natural thing to do in terms of politics because you want to weaken Sarawak and Sabah so that you can exploit their energy and resources. And the problem with Sarawak and Sabah was that they did not have the strong men at their leadership like in Singapore. In Singapore, that time we have Lee Kuan Yew that is constantly combating the federal government, which is why Singapore got kicked out because we are too much trouble. And they kicked out Singapore, but Sarawak and Sabah was not aware. They are not politically that aware of all these things, and perhaps they are so far away, so they got gamed. And so now Sarawak particularly is trying their best to try to get back more sovereignty, and so far this oil and gas thing is just yet another episode of all these things, which is unlikely to ever work out. And I don't believe that Sarawak and Sabah will ever get a chance to become independent unless there is a major military power backing them. Which also means war. So I don't think that's a viable thing. But anyway, this is it. So this is the headlines from Southeast Asia. Most of this is from 24 hours ago. I prepared all these things, but I didn't have the chance to record. So I will try to cover more and more news in Asia. There's still more news in Asia to come, but of course, the big thing is happening in United States. That is the biggest thing that need to be covered because whatever happened in United States affect the whole world. So I will just continue to cover that. So anyway, thank you for watching. Press the like button, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next update.